Hello everyone. For today's exercise in our sketchbook, we are going to do a material study and explore our drawing pencils. So I'm super excited to show you and talk to you about how these pencils work. And if you've never used them before you try out any art material, it's nice to give them a test run and experiment with them a little bit before you choose to use them. So you know the material before you're using it and seeing why you would pick this material to use. So I have some drawing pencils with me and I wanted to go over, they're very worn, these are mine. I wanted to go over what you're seeing on the end of your pencils, which are the labels that have a number and also a letter. So in your art kit, you received an HB. So it should have an HB at the end. You should have a 2B or a 3B and a 4B or a 5B. These numbers and these letters give you an idea of the range of the way that these pencils will show up in terms of the way that they make a mark and also their darkness or their lightness. I'm gonna go over those labels as we use these pencils to make some marks for our warm-up today. So I'm going to go ahead and my sketchbook is open and I'm going to label it depending on the date. So October 5th or October 6th, depending on if you're Monday or Tuesday for art. Okay, and I'm going to pick up the HB first. I'm looking for the HB. I'm gonna sharpen mine just a little bit. So I'm going to sharpen it. I'm going to label HB. So I know that the marks that I'm about to make are the HB. Now this pencil is a great pencil to pick up to start with for sketching. So the H stands for the hardness and the B actually stands for softness, or you can think of it also refers to black, because with a B, the higher the number is on the B, the darker the mark is gonna show up, and it almost looks as if you're making, it's not really gray, it looks more black. So go ahead and press as hard as you can with the HB, give it a lot of pressure, and then try pressing a little bit lighter. Maybe turn your pencil to the side if you were sketching and make your pencil make a hard pressure, and maybe soften your pressure and have it be a little bit of a lighter mark. This pencil will be a little softer of a feel as you're working. It's a standard pencil, so this is a great pencil for sketching when you're in the beginning stages, making your first marks. And then if we start working with our 2B, I'm gonna go ahead and sharpen it. The number went up, the H went away. We'll talk about the H at the end of this. Uh-oh, I need to resharpen. So the 2B means that it is a softer pencil, and the mark is gonna come out darker. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna label 2B down below. I'm gonna make a little divider just so I know for myself. So we're gonna go ahead and press, also put as much pressure as you put when you use the HB. Put a lot of pressure on these marks. And you should be able to see how it already appears darker than the HB. Even when you press light, it has a darker appearance. So this pencil could be used for sketching because it's a 2B, but it is one that you would go back in with for value and shading. So you could enhance your drawing to give it darker shadows. So this is one for more detail or maybe more expressive drawings, depending on if you want your marks to show up. And then if you are following, so we use the 2B, now we're gonna use the 4B. The 4 is higher than 2, so you guessed it, the 4 is gonna make a darker mark even without applying that much pressure, than the 2. When you apply a lot of pressure, you will feel a difference. It's really soft. It is really easy to make marks with this pencil. It's almost like it's kind of melting into the paper. And even when you make marks without as much pressure as when you put the most pressure on it, you lighten your pressure up, it's still, this is me barely putting pressure on it. It still appears more bold, more dark than the 2B, and definitely darker than that HB. So this pencil is when you want to achieve really dark shadows or make your value dramatic and achieve a higher darkness on your drawing, especially for value. It gives you a great depth. You could sketch with this pencil as well, but as you can see, the marks are so much darker than the HB, even without me putting my most hard pressure on my marks. And I wanted to show you, so this is a 9B. It's hard to see, it's pretty worn from my own pencil collection. So they go up to 9, so it's the highest in the softness scale. So this is what it would look like. And it gets a lot more darker than the 4B. So this is for the deepest, darkest parts of a drawing to show a full range of value, versus if you were using the 4B, which is still pretty dark, but it's not quite as dark as that. So the higher you go up in the numbers, the darker the B will be. There are also, so the H, that's in the HB. If you look up drawing pencils, there's a whole scale of H's, and also with numbers as well. And that H stands for hardness. So they won't have the softer feel like these do when you're drawing with them. And they're really a great scale of pencils to use for basic sketching. And then the higher the numbers go up, they have more of a darkness as well, but they are not as soft as the B's. And then there's also pencils that have an F. So I guess I should write this down. So there are F's, there are H's, there are HB's, and then there are just B. So the F stands for fine, and they are a really compressed graphite, and they are very, very light. So when their numbers go up, it's almost like they're going backwards. They get even lighter. The H's are hard, similar to the fine, but they show up a little bit more. That HB is that middle, so it's hard and soft. Or you could think of bold, or also known as they come up black. And then this is the softness, the darkness, but they are softer when you press them. So that's why the B stands for soft and also black, because it comes out a lot darker. So with the rest of this page, you are encouraged to explore some mark making and maybe label, highly encourage labeling which pencil you're using. This was an HB, so that you can start noticing the difference of the pencils, feeling what it feels like to use each pencil, experiment with them, maybe layer them. I apologize, this camera holder keeps shaking and I'm trying to steady it while I'm drawing. And that will conclude today's study of materials for our drawing pencils.